Next exponent rule we're going to look at today is the negative exponent property. The negative exponent just means that the base is on the wrong side of the fraction line. So we'll need to move the variable and its associated negative exponent to the other side of the fraction bar and make the exponent positive. Here you can see x to the negative 2. We would make that be 1 over x squared. And if we had 1 over x to the negative 2, the x to the negative 2 would move to the numerator and become a positive 2. We often see this combined with other properties. The most likely place to see this is when it is combined with the quotient property of exponents. Move them to the other side of the fraction bar, then apply the product property. So here you can see that we have some negatives. We have this x to the negative 2, and we have this y to the negative 4, and the z to the negative 4. So the first step that they've done is they moved the x to the negative 2 that was on the top to the bottom. They moved the y to the negative 4 up to the top, and they moved the z to the negative 4 up to the top. Then they applied the product rule to simplify it all down to get the answer. Let's look at a few together. Here we have a product that we're going to do, and we do have some negative exponents. And we currently do not have a fraction bar, but it's most likely that we will need one, so don't be afraid to add a fraction bar even though we don't have one currently. The first thing I'm going to do is apply this product rule though. So I have coefficients of 3 and 4. I have like bases of x's and y's. I'm going to start with my product rule, and after I'm done with the product rule, I will move any of my negative powers to the proper place. My coefficients are the 3 and the 4. They will multiply together to give me 12. Then my common base of x. Remember that when you are having the product rule, you add your exponents. So I'm thinking negative 2 plus a 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is equal to 1. So the power for the x is a 1. For the y's, this one currently has a power of 1. When they don't write it, it's a power of 1. And a negative 5. So for the common base of y, I'm adding together 1 and negative 5. 1 plus negative 5 equals to negative 4. So the power on the y is a negative 4. The next step is to deal with my negative exponent. The negative 4 exponent on the y means that the y should move to the other side of the fraction bar. I currently don't even have a fraction bar. So to make one, it's like saying that I have this all over the number 1. Now I can see the fraction bar. So I want to move the y to the 4th to the bottom and make the exponent positive now, and then copy the rest of the numerator. And that's it. For the next one, I have a quotient where I have my negative power is on the y. When I had a product rule, the first one here, notice that I didn't deal with the negatives until the end. When I start with a quotient, I like to deal with the negatives at the beginning. So I'm going to be moving this y up to the top. So I'm just going to copy everything, except for that y that I said I'm going to move to the top. And when I move that y to the negative 3 to the top, it's going to become a positive 3. And then on the bottom is just 6 and x. So next I'm going to simplify this some more. The first part that I'm going to simplify is these coefficients of 2 and 6. Coefficients, remember when you have a quotient like this, they reduce just like a normal fraction. 2 over 6 would reduce to the fraction 1/3. So I have a 1 and a 3 like that. Up top, I have some y's that I do need to put together. I'm multiplying y to the 5th and y cubed. When you multiply, you add your exponents. So 5 plus 3 is 8. So that will be y to the 8th power. On the bottom, I have an x, and that's the only x. There's no other x's, so it's just going to stay as an x. And remember, up top, unless there's nothing else up there, you don't really need to write the 1. So you can say that the answer here is y to the 8th over 3x. Next, I have a product here that does involve some negative exponents on it. For the product, I'm identifying the pieces here. I've got coefficients, I've got like bases of x's, and a like base of y. The coefficients are going to multiply together. So the 3 times the negative 4 is going to multiply to negative 12. For the common base of x, we have x to the negative 2 and x to the 3. So we're multiplying, so we're going to add the exponents, which is negative 2 and 3 together. We know that negative 2 plus 3 will equal 1. So it's got a new power of 1. And for the y's, this one currently has a power of 1, and this one over here has a power of negative 5. So we're adding 1 and negative 5 together. 1 and negative 5 we know is negative 4. And the next thing is just to deal with my negative exponent because I did not do that yet. You're not allowed to leave an answer with a negative exponent in it. It's considered not simplified as much as you can. So currently, this expression can all be written over 1, and the y to the negative 4 is going to have to move to the other side of the fraction bar, giving us y to the positive 4 on the bottom, and the top will be negative 12x. And that's the answer. And the last one that we have here, we have a whole lot. We have powers of power, we have a product, and we have a quotient, and we have negative exponents. So we're going to have to just simplify this a little bit at a time. I'm going to begin with simplifying the denominator. Specifically, the power to power part will go first. You should definitely be showing work on your paper as you're working these assignments out this week. To get full credit, we'll need to be able to see your thought process, and so definitely be showing your work as you go. So I'm simplifying this power to power part right here. Remember that power to power is multiplying, and in the parentheses we only have x to the negative 2. So to simplify that, we're thinking of negative 2 times 3. So that's going to be x to the negative 6. The next thing, the denominator, I'm going to simplify some more. So I'm just copying everything else. So the bottom here, I'm going to simplify this product rule. And what I'm going to simplify about it is the fact that we have like bases of x's. On the left side, the like base of x has a power of 1. And so when you are multiplying like this, you're thinking of an x to the 1 times an x to the negative 6. And so when you do that, you're adding your exponents. Power to power is multiply, but when you are multiplying pieces with common bases, you add those powers. So 1 plus negative 6 is going to be x to the negative 5. So that part there will be x to the negative 5. And then the y here cubed is going to go there as well. And that's the simplification of the denominator. And then the next step that we're going to do is, now that I have a quotient rule and it's simplified, I don't have any more products or anything, then I'm going to move this x to the negative 5 to the other side. So I'm going to move that up to the top. So the numerator now will be 2x squared, and we're moving this x to the negative 5 up there, so it'll be x to the 5th. And then we had y to the 5th. And then on the bottom, we left behind a y cubed. Next, I'm going to put these x's together that are up top. So the numerator is now going to have up top, I have 2 x's and 5 more, so I have 7 total x's. And then I had y to the 5th. And then the denominator was y cubed. And then the very last step for this one is going to be thinking about where are there more and how many more. My coefficient of 2 is the only coefficient, so it's going to stay just like it is. For x's, all of the x's are on top, so there will be no change in the x to the 7. And then for the y's, where are there more and how many more? There are more y's on the top, 5 minus 3 is 2. There are 2 more y's on the top. So y squared will be on the top. And then that is the answer. And there's nothing left on the bottom. You could put a 1 down there, or you don't have to write it. If everything ends up in the denominator, you definitely need the 1 on top. But if everything is in the numerator, it's like saying 2 over 1. You don't need to say the 1 on the bottom in that case. So this one had a lot going on. But if you just do a little bit at a time and you show your work, it won't seem so overwhelming. If you try to do it all in your head and do it in one step, you're going to get confused and make mistakes. So be sure you're showing your work and just doing a little bit at a time.